So we're all present and accounted for. We can go ahead and proceed. I know that we've had some chatter over the last week, and I have had some one-on-one conversations with some people. I know that Eldon went around town and tried to find some stuff, and Raziel also became a man about town for a few days. And then Corin was just going to relax and kind of sleep off a few things, maybe take in some gaming, which we have not resolved, if that's still a thing. Thongram was contemplating many random things, and I'm waiting to see which one he has picked to decide on. And that's all I know. So, Gabe, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Eldon's been up to?
Mouthful of cracker. So Eldon's been wandering around town and trying to get a lay of the land and the religion in the area. And it seems as though the Church of Bane has quite a bit of power of course has quite a bit of power in the area, but to the point of probably pushing out most other gods that people might worship. There is he found his so to hit the errata real quick. Eldon's god is Lathander. Eldath was a mistake of choice last, so we're fixing that to the Lathander. He found a shrine to Lathander, who is god of prey to the morning sun. It's just in complete disrepair. No sign of anybody really going up there, because people seem to be fearful of showing that they may be following a different god's lead, and so really that's been there. And Eldon's curious as to other people's what they may have found if they've come down there, if they had even noticed that there's a lack of magic items available and for sale, or for it seems like there's no place really openly talks about or shares any, which magic items are pretty common, so you would think they would be around, but just doesn't seem to be around. Let's see, what else did I find? There was something about the Shrine of Umberly and the house built on gold, but they've fallen. They have fallen against the Black Lord's altar of late as well. Not sure how to read that, Adam.
So, what Eldon would have found out is something that he heard that there was a shrine of Umberly somewhere in the city, and also about this. The house built on gold appears to be some sort of temple, but Eldon didn't really figure out what it was, outside of the fact that whatever that church or whatever that temple was has fallen against the Church of Bane, which is, I think you said, the Black Lord's altar. Was that was the
the word just says the Shrine to Umberly has fallen against the Black Lord's altar as of late.
Okay, yeah, I think that was relating to the house built on gold.
Okay.
And that the fact that you overheard through your searching and your few days carousing and listening around looking for magical stuff, you've heard about the Shrine of Umberly and Eldon would have said, I've heard that name, but don't really know much more about that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's kind of the gist at the moment. Of course, just the generally speaking, it seems like the discussion sharing, the magic items issue, just the idea of trading magic seemed a little precarious in the area, so out of the norm. So be careful in our discussions. Now, of course, all the things that we've discussed getting rid of out of our stash has none of it's all been non-magical. So I don't think we tried to sell anything magical.
Right. So that's a good segue now that we've got a quorum here. So we had some chatter about the stuff that was in the stash, and I think everybody's okay with doing that big just dump of big sale of everything. Was anybody against it or have any other ideas based on what we had talked about, or do we want to go ahead and close that transaction?
I mean, I'm just a little bit worried of drawing too much attention to ourselves, but dump it all if it's going to be safe.
Well,
assuming we're dividing and conquering, so no one person is dumping off too much at one time.
yeah, but he's still got a point. Not to discourage you from it, but I mean, if you end up dumping 15,000 gold worth of gems, that might get somebody's attention.
I don't think we would dump the gems. I think it's mostly because the gems are an easy way to carry value and trade gems if we needed something, if we didn't have the loose coinage on hand. But I think it was mainly the items that we would want to change. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'll say this, Adam, for the gems, under the guise of Valor Antelis, child of new money, I like traveling with gems. I find them to be very portable. And but seeing as I'm investing possibly in the city, I needed some quick cash. So I'm okay with whatever thousands amount of gold to make that transaction.
Okay. I'm good with that. So y'all tell me what y'all are doing.
I'll sell all the gems that I can.
All right.
So does everyone else want to split the relics and antiques and such?
Split the profits or split the relics themselves?
Split themselves so it doesn't look like any one person has too many.
I don't know if that would help much since it's 4 people walking to town and each of them sells $3 grand worth of stuff.
Yeah, but let's.
This has only been a night, right?
No, we're going to say that y'all have been around, been around the town for 2 or 3 days at this point.
Is it a big enough town that we could each sell stuff without selling to the same person?
I would say, okay, the city has around 50,000 inhabitants. Okay.
Oh, let's dump it.
Yeah, I agree. Dump it. We'll still try to spread it out some, but dump it.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then looking at the sheet here on the wealth tab, that's going to be, everybody would come out to, what, 3,512, rounding down. And that would zero out everything in the stash.
That's gems and relics.
No, that's gems and coinage.
So what about all the relics?
I'm getting to that tab.
Okay.
Gabe went through and he reformatted things, and I think it works out pretty well.
Might need to turn some of this gold back into gems so I can carry it.
Well, I mean, there could also be platinum pieces, which might throw it down a little bit. So the stuff under the sell thing, that would be 2,455 gold total to split across.
So how much each?
The spreadsheet is not working with me, so let me get my calculator.
Yeah, I had it slow down quite a bit on me. I think I might need to read.
491.
So 491 each from just the 2 cell relics.
Yes.
Or 2 cell. Okay.
So that if I'm doing the math work, that means we get 4,000 gold each, basically.
4,003.
Grand total 4,003 each.
Yes. All right, so I'm gonna zero out the wealth and the sell trade tab now.
So yeah, okay.
And are we still leaving our 130 gold stash in the stash?
I think we should probably donate some that we just did to the stash so that there's a group fund for emergencies.
Now this includes everything that's in the stash right now. So if y'all take the 4,003 each, the stash will have, I think, 22 coppers in it.
I'm okay with that. Maybe we can figure out the donation part later.
So 4,003 is our individual wealth.
Plus whatever you had on your character sheet.
Yeah. Which I'm way over my carrying capacity. So we can each get a sack, put our coinage in the sack, tie it up, and then put it back in the bag and holding for carrying purpose.
It's actually a good idea.
So who has a bunch of sacks they could share with us?
Well, I do now. I need to go out and buy some more if you're going to steal them all.
Can we find a general store on the quick and buy, say, 100 individual sacks?
100?
They're like a copper each.
Oh.
Yeah, you can buy as many sacks as you want.
Like buying lunch sacks. It's like buying lunch sacks for... Anyway.
Yeah, basically. Can I buy 100 Ziploc bags, please?
Yeah. How about a box of them?
Sweet. I will throw in the gold for 100 individual sacks.
There you go. Gabe,
the general fund has 22 copper in it, so...
That's 22 sacks right there.
Hey, we're zeroed out then.
Now just be aware, 100 sacks weighs 50 pounds.
Wait, what?
What? Oh, these are big sacks, not like coin purses.
No, these are sacks. These are 30-pound sacks. They weigh a half-pound each.
Oh, okay. 20 might be a good number then.
5 would be a good number. 1 for each of us.
Okay. 5 sacks.
All right, 5 sacks it is. Gabe, when you did all this stuff, did you move everything out of the unsorted tab into the sell trade tab?
Yeah, unsorted is stuff we still haven't resolved what we're going to do with it. But the sell trade tab is up to date with the things we wanted to sell, and that's the number that you gave us as far as the 2,400.
Yep.
So if you just cleared that, which I see you did, then we're set. I just need to uncheck all those boxes.
How much were you guys carrying money-wise before this $4,000 influx? Okay, I realize that I don't have any record of that.
Yeah, I think I lost. Well, what did you say it was?
I have 4,210 gold right now. So
Yeah,
I had 217.
Yeah, I had 216.
Okay, that sounds about right. What I remember.
Okay, so we think we have taken care of that. You guys now have a moderate amount of money on you, which Will and I have determined that based on level 6, we're probably right on track with where you should be from a wealth perspective.
I'm gonna delete the old items tab pretty soon. But I won't do it tonight now, but everything's been moved off of it now, so go to the new tabs.
That'll work.
Okay.
Okay, so we've gone through that. Thongrim, have you decided what you were wanting to do?
Nope.
Okay. We'll skip around. Did Corin...
I'll try to think of something for email this week, but anything I do is going to take up more time than it's worth right now. So.
Okay. Corin, did you decide to do anything?
I said just after doing that little bit of shopping, just go hang out in a tavern or something, gamble a little bit for funsies, and that's about it. Try to just listen for rumors and things like that.
All right. Well, just for giggles, let's do a little bit of gambling, just real quick. What was your ante on that?
I was saying I'd go silver.
1 silver, big spender. All right, so roll me an insight, a deception, and an intimidation check.
What was the other one? Insight, intimidation, and...
Insight, deception, and intimidation.
Deception.
All right, and your random DCs for each one. We're going to go top down. All right, the first one was a failure. Ooh, 3 failures, 0 successes. You not only lost that 1 silver, but you have incurred a debt of another silver.
Well, I guess double or nothing.
My man.
Same thing?
Same thing. All right, I'm going to say meet or beat as 2 successes on that. So you have gained your 2 back, and so you have 3. So you were down 1 silver.
We'll do one more time, then win it back. Oh well.
Nope. You're down 2 silver overall.
Then I'm done.
It's good for you. You know when to walk away. I mean, I've been at a craps table where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and just lost my ass on it. So, Raz, you keep speaking of this Veller gentleman, if I got that correctly. Tell us a little bit more about that gentleman.
Yeah, so Raziel did kind of 2 walkabouts. He kind of found the dregs of the city to mostly just get a feel for the real people, like who are the real people of town, not the highborn folks if there are any, but just listening to the common speech and the gossip and the small talk. Maybe any talk about the church or religion or the Church of Bane specifically. He just kept his ear out. Maybe more importantly or more notably, now that he's, I guess we're retroactively saying, now that he's carrying thousands and thousands of gold worth of gems on him, he put on some of his black, finer clothes that he picked up in Aldenburg, And actually took a little makeup to make him look a little younger, little more part of the fertile society, the wealthy society, and made himself look a little more elfin too. And he adopted the moniker of Valor Antelis, a young elf from New Money out of Aldenburg, a cousin of a wealthy family. But did not mention the family specifically. But suffice to say that he ended up hanging around sort of the more pricey parts of town, any that he was able to identify. Did a little shopping, tried to sell his gems, and if anyone asked, then that was the persona that he presented himself as.
So did he, through any of his carousing in both the upper and lower districts, we'll call them, he find anything interesting out?
I'm hoping the DM will tell me.
Check your email.
Oh, okay. Is that what we're doing?
I can assure you he found out a lot of information. Probably more than you're going to be able to consume here. In just
Jesus Christ, dude. This is fun.
I know. That'll show you for rolling well.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to come back to this. This is a lot. Is there anything notably important here that matches up with what Eldon found about the church?
He was able to determine that yes, the church has a very large investment in the city. It is definitely the leading religion. Hold on, I need to pull up the email too. Because it is quite expansive.
Yeah, sorry. I thought we were doing this in game.
Well, yeah. Okay, so Raziel would have found out that yes, the city is led by a council of 16 nobles known as the Blades. The Blades they were established to provide representation for the nobles, but also to temper the amount of control the High Blade possesses over the city. Overall, there are no more or less than 49 nobles in the city of Mulmaster, and really those positions are lifetime placements, so when a noble dies, there tends to be a lot of jockeying for to be accepted into that particular position. The lords of them, they are all known as lords, be they female or male. But if they are not the head of that family, the people would be known as the males of that would be known as the honorific Zor, Z-O-R, and the females of the family would be known as Zoras, Z-O-R-A.
I can't keep up with these gender identities. Okay, go
on. But as you discovered, as you were listening to that, it seems as though a position has started to come available as one of the older nobles is on death's door. And you pronounce it Valor, yes?
Valor.
Yeah. So he would have heard the name of Astrid Sage. As an up-and-coming wealthy merchant who is starting to throw, you heard rumors of this, but she's starting to throw this party, and one that she hopes that will make quite the impression on the not just the nobles of the city, but the city as a whole. And this party is planning to last a full 10-day, or in the way it works, 10 days. So you caught wind of this party going on, and made specific note of this lady. Other things about the city, you had learned that crime is fairly rampant throughout the city. Most of the citizenry are pretty much always looking to gain advantage over everybody else. They're always looking out for a numero uno. It is a busy center of commerce, being on the Moon Sea and controlling the river port there. It has the church as a whole, because they have such power over the blades and influence, should I say. They have a control on trade. And one of their big exports happens to be arms and armory. So as I was talking with Thangram, most of the blacksmiths are in the employ of the blades, helping, one arm the soldiery, which is the militant arm of the blades. And there's about 6,000 soldiers in the soldiery, but this doesn't include the city watch, which is the people who washed out of soldier school. They were the people who are, the washouts, the people who, do what they want, but they're just kind of brutish and known to be able to be bribed somewhat easily on a whim. But the other things that Raziel found out, he discovered talk about the Tower of Arcane Might, which was, since they have a soldiery, there's another arm of society called the Brotherhood of the Cloak, which he discovered is, they're responsible for watching for arcane threats against the High Blade and the blades as a whole. And he determined something he couldn't exactly figure out. All of what it was, but there's something about the Edict of Arcane Banishment, which he basically found out that if anybody casts or is a practitioner of magic, and they're not a foreign dignitary or emissary, they may be punished severely unless they become part of the Brotherhood of the Cloaks. Which may go a long way to explain why Eldon was not able to find any magical items for sale. It appears to be that magic is on quite a tight leash in this city. Let's see, what else? And feel free to stop me if you have questions or you hear anything.
So you said if you're not part of the cloaks, you shouldn't cast magic?
Yeah. You shouldn't be caught casting magic or seen. I'm not saying you can't, just saying there could be harsh penalties for it.
Also in there, the Tower of Mysteries.
Oh, yes, the Tower of Mysteries.
Because I did notice that there are a couple of small shrines to some lesser gods, including Lyria and Savras.
Yes, the Tower of Mysteries is part of the same complex of the Tower of Arcane Might. They kind of go hand in hand, but this one, it's where the cloaks live, and it's known to have several shrines there, as Eldon had mentioned. And let's see here. There's rumors that there may even be some illegal shrines to some illegal gods somewhere hidden within the Tower of Mysteries. Could be where it got its moniker from, for all we know. But we talked about some other things. He would have found out that the Blades, again, they're very creative in their names for things. They live in an opulent and expansive castle home known as the Tower of the Blades, and the High Blade lives in his own special tower called the Tower of the Wyvern. The Orthodox worshippers of Bane have rededicated the Black Lord's altar to Bane. It's a foreboding building in the middle of town with spines jutting out from numerous locations, windows filled with red and violent glass reinforcing its ominous appearance. If you happen to catch a glimpse inside, which Raziel would have made his way just to see if he could have, there's this gigantic statue of the Black Hand of Bane hanging down from the center of the ceiling, with the arm reaching down 50 feet, hovering just a mere 8 feet above the ground. This just gigantic claw. It's just breathtaking if you get a chance to see it. He would have learned about the High Imperceptor of the Black Lord's altar, the High Lord of the Church of Bane, his name of Jorel Missen. And while he did not take part of it, he found a good casino known as the Gate of Good Fortune, which is kind of a half chamber of worship, and the other half is a casino. Kind of a crazy little place. Then a couple other places he'd heard about. He also heard about the shrines, one of Umberlee, one of Malar, a shrine of Lathander, and the house built on gold. And then some other areas around the Mulmaster area. Something about the Iron Fang Keep over in Elmwood, the Glacier of the White Worm, and an area along the River Liss. There's something about a black dragon he heard about in the flooded forest. Well, that's the long and the short of it, but you might want to read through it because I did the 50,000-foot view of that.
I'm sorry, guys, I didn't learn much.
Didn't learn much. What good are you?
So how much money did you win gambling?
I lost like 2 silver, but it passed the night.
I will relay all of that to my adventuring.
Nice information to fill in the gaps of my knowledge, what I was finding. Guess you have a better vantage point on finding these things out than I do.
So it did seem like we had 1 or 2 data points that kind of converged, right? Something, was it the cloaks or the blades that you discovered?
Well, yeah, but not as detailed as what you have found. There were different crosses over, like, as far as the shrines and things like that you were finding that you like. I found the Lathander shrine was completely unkempt and left to deteriorate as people would not. He is one of the banned gods. So now it starts making sense.
Yeah. As far as like things that we could actually do, it's hard to tell. Like the blades control the city, and that's great. And the cloaks kind of make sure they protect the blades and make sure magic's not being used, without their controls, or like magic police. The only thing I can think of that we might want to look into is that party where that merchant's looking to become the noble. But I'm wondering, like, do we gain anything by infiltrating that? Do we learn about the church or the workings of the city?
I mean, even if we learn something, what are we trying to learn?
I mean, going back to our one goal, which was to find Raspar, I don't know.
Right. If we go through I think Adam made a good list in one of the emails about our options that we currently are talking.
You are cutting out a lot.
Oh, really? How? Okay. I don't know. Is it better at all, or is it
better?
Yeah, I can hear you.
okay? It must be because I was waving my hand and face while I was talking. So we have a list of things we've been talking about. Do you want to just me to run through that list?
Yes.
Okay. Finding the third key, finding Razbar, the gnome, destroying all the keys. This actually, there's a repetitive, potentially at a volcano. Destroying the scroll, rescuing Quinn, stopping Bane from returning to the Forest of Cats, and making Bloodbath and Beyond a major retailer in the land. So I'm not sure if all of those were serious, but that was the list that we kind of had touch points on. Was there anything else that people remember us touching on as options?
All right. I mean, pretty much. I thought we were just doing the whole destroy the keys thing. That whole promote Bloodbath and Beyond thing sounded new to me.
Like I said, I don't think all of them are serious.
They may not all be serious, but they have all been mentioned.
Okay.
So whether we destroy the keys or find the keys to get the scroll, either way, we got to find that third key. If that's one of the routes.
How accurate was that other key for finding it? Like, if we used it again, would we know more precisely where it's at?
Well, since the only time we looked into that, we were very far away. We only really learned that it could get us near. Could try again.
It's probably a good idea.
Okay. So, I mean, if you're willing, and now it may be able to do that, but you may not be able to use it to teleport that, that general, or anywhere unless you want to sacrifice yourself.
Sacrifice. Yeah. Willing sacrifices, But we could possibly scry the more accurate location. So do we want to try that?
Yeah, I mean, let's wait till evening or something, but that's definitely something we should try.
Oh, we didn't really actually. We started out saying we were at a camp outside of the city. Did we?
At this point, we kind of deviated from that. Everybody was kind of looking through, and I'll use the word carousing again, but with the idea of meeting back at the Traveler's Cloak, which is a fairly well-known inn. You heard about it from the Travelers. It would have been, it's a fairly, it's a more expensive joint, 12 gold a night, 15 if you need to stable something. But it would be a welcome retreat from the cold and the damp. You would have realized by now that Mulmaster is a very cold area.
Okay. I would go ahead.
I was just going to say, did you just say 12 gold a night?
Yes.
For the whole party, or
Each.
Looks like we're camping outside, y'all.
We have money. I'm gonna stay in this town, you guys. Come on.
I mean, there's other areas. I mean, with a city of 50,000 residents, there are definitely other places. But this is, getting to this new town and this new city. You rested upon the place that you felt might be the most safest until you got the lay of the land, or at least that's how I saw it.
I think we can afford to spend a couple nights in a real bed.
Fine.
okay. But okay. So that being said, if we're going to, now that we've kind of gotten the lay of the land and things like that, if we're going to use the key to scry, and we're I would suggest we go outside of town, because if there's a ban on the use of magic, I'm not sure what kind of, if that might be detected, and whether or not that's a good, it would be safe to do something like that within town.
It's probably a fair precaution.
Sorry, I'm looking up something. I mean, there is a way. If you decide to cast something or do something magical, or casting something, there is a DC. There is a check that you can do to attempt to hide it. Which is what I had you roll the other night when you cast guidance.
Gotcha. Just a cleric praying to the gods.
The wrong gods.
Exactly.
Yep.
With my Book of Bane in hand, my Bible of Bane in hand.
So we've had all this discussion, and I have not forgotten about Siona. Would she have done anything these 2 or 3 days before meeting up with the group?
Hang on one second. How many days do we have?
We'll say 3.
I mean, I think the first night I just went and enjoyed the fact that I wasn't possessed anymore, and meditated and had dinner and had a nice night alone.
And Siona deserved that nice night of by herself.
Of peace. Didn't Eldon say he went to the Shrine of Umberly?
He had heard about it.
Heard.
Okay.
There were discussions about it, but
it makes sense that you would have been drawn to it if that's something that you wanted to do.
Yeah, I would have liked to ask around and visited while we were in town. Doesn't necessarily have to be these 3 days, but at some point. And I guess other than that, I helped with the shopping, and that was all my plans for the time.
Okay. 1 second. We'll say that you did at least stop by and look and observe the Shrine of Umberly, which would have been it's on the west side of the city. Let me pull up. You're looking at this city view right now. But on the western side of the city,
Yeah, I see the whole map of everything.
Like, we're looking at the continent map.
There
yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I had to click show. Sorry. So over on the west side, you see where the kind of the inlet to the sea is coming from the north of the map, and you see all those fingers. I imagine the shrine is over over there. Where did it go? It's on the west side, and it's locally known as the last drop because of the custom of people. This is awful. The custom of people committing suicide by tying weights to themselves and jumping off into the deep waters below. The shrine to Umberly is a sculpture of a furious female face carved into the balustrade with a gaping mouth that opens to the water below. And people you see them, they're wishing to appease and thank Umberly. They drop offerings to her through this mouth, gold and whatever they have to offer. And people believe that the spirits of those who commit suicide by plunging from this bridge guard those offerings given to Umberlee, and so nobody messes with them. So it's kind of a chaotic scene around the Shrine of Umberlee.
Is Umberlee one of the banned gods? Or?
May not necessarily be banned, but it's definitely in the minority. But there are still enough people there who pay homage to her that it's, it has not been stomped out. All right, so go ahead.
I mean, I'll leave an offering, but other than that, I'm just observing.
You don't want to tie a weight around your ankle and?
No.
Okay, not appealing. All right. So, circling back to everybody, Thongram. Had any thoughts about what Thongram was working on?
I'm running it by Chris to see if it seems like something worth pursuing.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I was shitposting on Discord.
Sorry, I'm shitposting on your Facebook Messenger, so.
Yes, you are shitposting on the Discord.
Do a flip!
I don't think he had the right signatures to do that. All right, so y'all have learned a good bit about Mulmaster going through here. You're looking at this map here. You would have seen, if you can click into it to zoom in a little bit on that map. The sections that are really difficultly highlit in red in some areas, the Tower of Blades is to the eastern portion. The Tower of the Wyvern is just to the east of that. The South Road Keep is probably where you guys came into the city. The Traveler's Cloak is that red dot, not necessarily in the center of the map, but right towards there, so y'all are right in the thick of things. There's the Ox Pit Tavern, which I believe is the red dot north central. The lighthouse is up by the mouth of the sea. The Black Lord's Altar, which is also the Temple of Bane, is... Where's that? Oh, I can't find it because it's hard to read. Oh, it's just to the left of the Temple of the Blade, or the Tower of the Blade there. There's a Thavian embassy as well in the city. The docks, and then the Tower of the Brotherhood of the Cloak is there as well, and that's located in the northeastern section of the town. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what's going on. Obviously, there's lots happening on Mulmaster. It's a hive of, just whatever they said there, just vile people, and just there's some conniving people in this area.
Would you say it's a hive of scum and villains?
Damn it, yes, that is what I was looking for, but I couldn't get past the word hive.
Well, everyone, we must be cautious.
I think I posted that.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
All right, so did you two come to an accord?
I'll pitch it to the group. I don't know how long, I guess over dinner or something, if we have a quiet area, I'll kind of go over the plan. So I don't know how long we plan to be here, but I will... Well, I've gone around and I've kind of surveyed, the several of the blacksmith shops and found, some that are particularly emblazoned with tapestries and markings of Bane that, hold on a sec.
It's like they're having a rave over there at Casa de
Oh my God,
Quakenbush.
it's bedtime. Can you guys give me 5 minutes? I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I will let Ash pitch the whole thing, but I know what he's thinking, and I was kind of thinking the same thing, just with a different implementation. And like I said, I'll let him do it, but I will give the short version of what he's pitching. If we think we're going to be here a while, which I don't necessarily think we do, but if we think we do, we're going to need an inn in the city, like a foot in the door. And the party thing was my first thought. Like, we could infiltrate the party, learn a little bit about the city, maybe go under the guise of, some Aldenburg family and try to get goody with some folks. I think Ash's method is more direct. I think what he wants to do is, well, actually, he wants to find a blacksmith that's particularly loyal to the opposition, the Church of Bane, and either break in like sometime late at night or hire people to break in late at night. And we ransack the place, steal all of his shit, and then we show up the next day and we offer to buy the blacksmith off of them. And we rebuy all of their stuff from the thieves, I guess, if we hire thieves. And then now the resistance, the blades, I guess, is the enforcers here. Or no, the cloaks would be the enforcers, but either way.
They would be the magical people, but there is something else that I forgot. There's also a group known as the Hawks, which would be the secret police. Those would probably be more of the enforcers.
Okay. So I guess it would be the Hawks. But either way, the resistance gets... They still have a blacksmith, but they're now owned and operated by us. And so whoever needs to start supplying them with weapons and goods would be us and no longer the blades. And it'll be our base of operation.
Well, when it comes to the party, you're the only one who can really do that. The rest of us are not. I mean, I have some skill with that, but...
Well, I don't think we need to be necessarily all that persuasive. Maybe one of us, maybe me, could be, deceptive. Maybe one of us could be the talker. That could be me. But as far as, fitting in, a couple of us have a way to disguise it.
That we can't really cast. We have to leave town, cast it, and come back in to be safe.
Not necessarily. There are ways. Deception checks, or if nobody's around. It's not unheard of. Just know that there's an element of risk.
Well, just carrying magic items for anybody around who may be detecting magic be noticeable. Just walking around carrying any of our magic items is probably risky in itself, right?
I will check.
I'm gonna say yes, it is. We can't. If they're just looking for magic at all times,
it speaks to it. Hang on. I don't want y'all to get bogged down in something if you don't have to. So there's actually rules about this. So give me 1 second to digest and regurgitate.
I'm back, sorry.
So we got the gist of what your plan was into it.
All right. It's pretty simple. I'll kind of say, as I'm going through that, as a card-carrying member of the guild, when, approaching a new city, it's common courtesy to go and make sure your dues are up to date, and then kind of, basically announce your presence to the guild. So I would have done that, and then probably, as everyone was doing things, toured, most, if not all, of the blacksmiths, kind of, just chatted shop with them and looked at the wares and talked about, business in general, and probably identified one or more of them that were particularly loyal to the church, and kind of weeded out the more moderate ones that would have been maybe not ones to target, as they were pretty reasonable people that just trying to eke out a living. But the real true believers that were in it to supply Bane and strengthen the blades, could have been identified. And so, I kind of say, if this is if we're going to be here a while, and if our end goal is to destabilize sort of or infiltrate the area, it would be fairly easy to overthrow one of these shops, either ourselves or with finding the resistance to Bane, paying the Thieves Guild if Corin could get into them and using them to just ransack one of these more loyalist shops. Take everything, rough it up a bit, but not really destroy any of the general structure of the place. At which point, we could show up the next day, having already kind of been there. Console this owner. Make an offer on the place. Because we would have been talking about the day before, that we were looking to maybe expand in Bloodbath and Beyond here. Buy the place out, rebuy the supplies, and either melt them down if they're emblazoned with a maker's mark, or resell them slightly modified, either back to the opposition or to the blades as a way to get in with them. We can either straddle either side of the fence at that point, and then we would also sort of have a local base of operations. I'll kind of pitch all that more eloquently to the group. If that's something that, we thought we were going to be here a while, and if we thought, that kind of establishment would pay, out. But basically with our $6,000, or even if we pulled in, it's unlikely we could just buy a shop outright. But we could easily destabilize one and buy it at a reduced rate.
Well, right. There's the option of just destabilizing one, but I mean, there might also be a struggling.
Oh yeah, it's not without risk. I mean, the people that go to overthrow or steal from the shop have, there's a risk that we would probably need to either protect or be involved in, potentially for that. And then, rebuying stolen goods is also, a risk. But if there is a thieves guild in this city, and Corin was able to sort that out, with their help, I imagine we could open something up, which does then give us the added potential to use our shop to sort of melt down and fence stolen guilds stuff through the Thieves Guild as well. So, it does.
If we do that, we're going to be in debt to the Thieves Guild, and they're going to want something more than one.
Well, that's true, but that's what I'm saying. We would buy back what they stole, so they in turn basically make a profit on. They steal it, we buy it back. So we do we have to basically buy the initial inventory for a shop, but we're buying it, basically paying off the people that stole it for us in the first.
Right. I guess my point though is also, do we have to be that elaborate if there happens to be a blacksmith or who is looking to retire or is struggling so much they're willing to just sell out?
That's also an option. I don't know if I would have got that impression from talking to the few around town, if anybody was in that boat.
Because if we put this person on a business and buy their smith, then we have to staff it. You can't sit there and spend all your time being a blacksmith.
Well, that's true, but if there is any type of a resistance movement, and the Thieves Guild or any of that, we could definitely staff it with some of those people. And you could always write back to Oldenburg and have people get on a boat and travel over here too to eventually restaff it that way, although that would take time. Or you only really need to hire one person capable of as a shop, somebody you trust in, and then they can hire, just general blacksmith apprentices, You just have to be cognizant of keeping them out of the more nefarious dealings should you use it as a fence or start arming the opposition. But you could do that after hours, I suppose, too. So you could, under the guise of a legitimate blacksmith and weapons dealer, during the day, participate in these more off the book stuff at night, especially if it was a shop that had any type of quarters or something up above that would allow us to basically use this as sort of a base of operations where you sleep here and stay here and do stuff like that. So I guess you're kind of looking for a 2-story blacksmith that's quarters up above.
So if you were going to categorize something like that, would you say it was a large shop or a medium shop or a massive shop?
I don't know what that means, but I would assume you'd have a decent sized blacksmith, or an average sized blacksmith down below. You just need, I guess, several quarters of up above probably. So, or a blacksmith next to a residence, private residence, and you could do both or something. I mean, really, you've got, if the blacksmith decides to sell a shop, he may also sell his private residence, and you could, they don't necessarily have to be right next to each other.
Right. I'm just trying to get an idea because I have some rules that we could kind of fudge with, and it makes a distinction between the size of, like, the physical size of this shop. And based on what I'm hearing, I think you're looking anywhere between a medium and a large, like, shop.
Probably. I mean, I don't think you're trying to take over the Walmart of blacksmiths,
Right.
But I mean, I don't know that, like, with a large and massive creature, I don't necessarily know what the difference is. Is it rooms or square footage, or what determines?
I guess it would also determine on how much traffic would be through there. So I'm trying to put, like, Walmart would probably be a massive shop if you just did one of them. It's not a monopoly, and it's not multiple of them, but that would be a massive one. A large shop would be what? Not a Kohl's. Maybe a Kohl's? Maybe a Publix?
So what about an Ace Hardware?
I'd say that's probably like a medium.
As a member of the guild, would he be able to identify or affiliate himself with someone at some place?
I would say it is certainly worth a shot. I mean, I feel like this is a check that's needed with advantage since he's got the guild. So I mean, what would that be? Would that be investigation and persuasion? Well, what kind of check do you think that would be?
It's probably investigation. I guess the question to me comes down to,
I guess the thing is, is this something we want to pursue? I mean, if we're just going to get in, get the key, get out, I don't know if we feel like this is going to be a place we're going to be a while.
Yeah, because even if we do that plan, we have to first find thieves.
Well, and
so there's definitely a multifaceted. This would definitely could potentially, off books, out of character, right? This could definitely become several sessions of doing stuff. If that's not something we want to pursue, we don't have to.
Right, and even if we did it, it'd probably be several weeks of in-game time. Because you got to find thieves, they have to negotiate with them, and they have to plan the heist. They have to do the heist, and then the guy's got to be broken up to not be able to recover from the heist. But how long? There's nothing that says we couldn't start putting feelers out and not go through with it.
Right, that's how I feel too. Like, if it works and we've got an in, then the world's our oyster, but it's going to take some time.
But if we find a thieves guild, or Resistance, why don't we just hook up with them and stay with them?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, if there is a resistance and it's in Mulmaster, then that's probably our best.
I mean, they're thieves. They're not necessarily.
We don't know.
Not loyal to I mean, they can be. They could be loyal to the cause and still all about stealing from other people.
We're wandering thieves.
Yeah, I mean, we've got options. But everybody, it seems like, kind of has, I mean, you've got a potential angle you could tug on with a Thieves Guild. Siona's potentially got the Umberly angle we could tug. I mean, everybody's got kind of a piece in this if it was something we wanted to pursue. But it definitely does take time and effort to chase it all down.
Okay, so let me read you something that might help you make a decision. This is a little bit more about the people of it, and I'll just read the text to you. The people of Mulmaster are pessimistic about their lot and attempt to overcome their trials with fierce determination. They work hard, always looking for any edge to advance themselves in the corrupt city. When the time comes to break from their hard work, they take pride in their family and enjoy celebrations with wild revels that include sumptuous banquets, strong drinks, hot-blooded duels, flirting, gossiping in dance houses, gambling at the gate of good fortune, and even some darker entertainments found in the shadowy corners of the city.
So these are like ultra-capitalists.
Yes, and I would say that the city has a tend, if you were going to look at alignment as a whole, would probably be looking more towards the neutral evil alignment as a whole. Somewhere, at least on the bottom third of that cube. Maybe, something like that. So just keep that in mind.
So, ultra-capitalist.
Ultra-capitalist, that's right. Like any good-blooded American named Mulmaster. And
we've got the best church.
I got nothing to follow up on that one. I was trying.
with the thieves' cant, like you can it kind of tells you, it's like the hobo language, right? It kind of tells you where to go, where to find them.
It means I can just talk to people who know it with other people not understanding.
Okay, so it's more the language, less the written in the signs.
It's still common, or whatever language we're speaking. We're just speaking in double entendre. Words have different meanings when you use it.
So maybe we start with the Thieves Guild. Even if we don't end up joining them, we can get some good info.
Yeah, that would be my, I'm biased obviously, but that would be my suggestion.
And in the meantime, I can go around and, visit the places a second time or something, and, inquire if anybody's willing to sell outright, or, that way at least I've offered once or twice before they suddenly come a hard time, so that it doesn't just seem opportunist that I showed up out of the blue with a pile of money.
No, but it also looks like, hey, you wouldn't sell and now you're broke. You got to balance those two.
Yeah, true. I mean, I definitely have to be some smooth talking, but having an established guild credit and being a holder in a different, part of the world, the expansion angle plays off.
So
I'm not just
what's the
money.
plan?
Or we can just say that's a cool idea, well thought out. I think we're just going to pursue finding a old boy. But I guess these could also run in parallel. If we find him, we could abandon the plan. I don't know, however you guys want to do it.
So, which we obviously can't do synchronously, but what if we did that? What if we divided and conquered in pairs of two? We talked with the Thieves Guild. You took the mercantile approach, and then the more religious of us looked into scrying or looking for.
Was that it, or did you cut out?
Did I come through? Those.
I heard religious, then nothing.
Oh, sorry. So some of us check out the the blacksmith guild approach, the mercantile economic approach. At least one of us looks into the thieves guild, and the rest of us look into scrying or manually investigating for the location of the, which I think is what Eldon was saying.
Right, yeah, using the key to scry. I mean, that's something we could do. We just need to determine a safe place to do such a, to magic.
Okay, so to that point, that's because I looked that up earlier. It is specifically around casting magic. So arcane casting. Magical items and the use thereof is not necessarily prohibited. They say it's, the way that this goes in, it's possible that you might want to cast an arcane spell anyway, and you could distract witnesses by trying to hide it or make them think that a magic item was used instead, to do like a sleight of hand check. So it's specifically around casting spells, and cantrips do count towards that.
It sounds like it's casting in public.
That would have a higher risk, yes.
It's hard to distract witnesses if there's no witnesses.
Yes, that is true.
So I say we scry first, because that's going to be the biggest thing. If we go to the Thieves Guild, we're not going to be able to be like, hey, we want quarter. We'll probably have to we want to do a heist, cut you guys in. But the heist is really steal the key or find the guy.
Well, and thieves would likely be a decent source of information if a decent thieves guild would have the employ of beggars and whatnot around the city.
Yeah, like if we know where the key's at, we can tell them we want to rob that place, cut them in. If we're looking for what's his name, we can say we're bounty hunters and he's our mark, and we want to use their network of spies.
Oh, Rasper?
I'm gonna go with yes.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Bounty hunters or Eldon could even say he's we're a state people trying to settle up the affairs of some noble from wherever they're from. We need to get him to be able to give him his cut of a fortune or something, in case they're not necessarily pleasant to the bounty hunter angle.
Well, if we're using the Thieves Guild, then we need either some reason to use them, which is either we think he has connections in the police and would know about it, or we don't want the police to know about it for other reasons. Otherwise, they'd ask, why aren't we going to the Blades or the Hawks?
Well, because if you can find the Thieves Guild, then you're probably a member of the Thieves Guild, right? So it's sort of like being the member of the Merchants Guild here, like checking in with them as you arrive is sort of good order, right?
Yeah, but Thieves Guilds tend to not be global organizations. It's like the Thieves Guild for Mulmaster, if they have one.
Well, true, but I imagine announcing your presence so they don't find out there's unregistered thieves in their midst is probably not a bad idea.
Right. I'm just saying, and so they don't get suspicious as to why we're going to them for help. We need a rationale, and it's either we think he has local authority connections that would hide him, or we don't want local authorities to know about it.
I support either one. Whatever you feel in the moment.
I mean, either one's fine. We just got to have an answer for why we're not going to the Hawks, or the Blades, or the Cloaks, or whoever would be most appropriate for whatever reason we're looking for them. And they might help us smuggle him out of town too. That'd be useful. If he's even here.
What's the safest approach? Start with that.
I think the safest approach is scrying.
Well, the scrying tells us where the key is, and the key is here, and we don't know where. We don't know where Razbar is. Razbar is just someone who is associated with the Red Flames from 300 years ago.
Yes, and it could be that it could quite possibly, and I'm not saying it is, but he could be dead. We don't know that.
Right. All we know is that when we scried the key was here and not in Lanton, where Razbar was last known to be. So we're here, and like we said, if we scry, we're going to be scrying for the key again and trying to get a more specific location of this key. Which I think that is probably the logical first thing to do, is to re-scry for the key. The question is that
I agree.
in our room right now, wherever we're having this discussion, where is the safest place to scry this key so that we can then determine what plan of action we might need to get into it. If we scry the key and it's in the Tower of Mysteries, we're probably going to need a pretty significant plan to get in. If it's in some cave outside of the city, then we just need to go there, right? So without knowing where it is, we probably don't know what the right plan is yet. But then, like, the other side of that is, depending on how long we're going to be here, because that's the other side. I do recognize that's possibly a good idea. Is like, if we're going to be here for a long time, we don't want to be spending 12 gold a night to stay in, the inn at whatever this place is. We need something a little bit, better price, or at least something that'll give back to us. Right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, what is that? 60 gold a night total for the 5 of us?
Yes. Plus 3 a night if you want to stable Dazzle.
He can be dismissed.
I was about to say, do you have to stable?
I don't know. I just, right now, I imagine he's kind of like a magical looking horse that's probably attracting attention, but I don't know what he normally looks like.
I think he looks like a horse, and he could just go roam the countryside.
So a few other things. I know that it was mentioned in the data dump to Raziel, or to Chris, but there is also a Thayan embassy located in the city, which I know that y'all all have perfect recall of all the random shit that we've talked about here, but apparently, since there is an embassy to Thay here, there is at least some channels of communication between the Church of Bane and the Thayan Empire, which there's obviously some bad blood between those two. So that may be another option that you could consider. Thay.
The Red Wizards of Thay.
Yes.
Evil slavers, people like that.
Yes. Didn't say it was a great idea. Just said it was an idea.
So where do we want to try this key?
Well, I mean, if we get out of town, it's probably safer, but it might not give us the preciseness we want, but we should probably start with that anyway. Because if the reading you get's no more precise than the one we got from where we're just at, there's not much point in continuing.
Right.
I will point out that right now, I'm assuming y'all are still within the Traveler's Cloak Inn, which if you're looking at that little map there, it is the red area in the just south of the central part of the city. Did we lose Chris?
I'm here. I just got back. I came in and heard the word Fae.
So where on this did you say that?
The weird little 4-looking thing. It's a 4, but it's also a red 4.
Yeah, it's like a red backwards 4.
Traveler's Cloak Inn. Oh, okay.
That was another reason I decided to put y'all there, because at least you had a frame of reference.
Oh, got it. Found it. Okay.
Let's just go outside of town, mile or so, do some scrying. If we have to, we can walk the perimeter of the town scrying and kind of triangulate it.
Okay. So where did we land? With the original? Judging by,
South?
were we south of it?
Because you said we came in through the South Road Keep.
So the big red dot.
Yes.
We skipped the Oxpit Tavern? Oh no, that's up there. What is that? Oh, okay. Got it.
A 3 looks like a 5. I keep when I see it.
I did the same thing and then realized that the 5 is up way up there. Up near the top. Anyway, okay, so we came in through the big red dot.
Yes.
Which should be, and so south of that, that's also where the temple, the shrine to Lathander and shrine to, what was the other one you told me? Malar, the Beast Lord is, right?
Yes, it's over there by the South Road Keep, so it's near number 3.
Yeah, okay. So we want to dress as if we're going hunting boar and wander out into the south, and
I just kind of, far enough away to where you don't think people would spot us or detect us.
do we want to all go, or do we want?
Maybe you can go and Sienna can take you on her horse. You could fit in the back of the horse with her. The rest of us can't so much.
That's fine.
All right, so y'all are gonna head. You two are gonna head south. The other cadre of you, what are y'all gonna be doing?
On the morning of the third day,
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
I don't know. I probably cut out when I said it earlier, but what are the safest options? I will always vote or the second safest option in this case.
I mean, I would say, Corin, touch base with the Thieves Guild. I mean, if nothing else, you
make contact.
pay a tithe. You do the right thing by saying, here you go. I just wanted to do right by all you guys. So if nothing comes out of it, at least you're on good standings with them should we need them in the future. I can go around, and just kind of feel them out again and try to make an offer to buy a couple places or something and really press how interested I am in expanding. And then we can, meet back the next night and kind of compare notes again.
Sounds fair.
It's going to take me time to find them, so I'm going to wait for them to get back from the scrying.
Yeah, we can scry too. Well, you did though. I mean, I guess I don't know how the thieves can't stuff works. I mean, I assume to some degree walking around it'd be fairly obvious, right?
And thieves can't's just like a fake language for the most part.
Yeah, but don't they just kind of stash a few signs here? And I mean, something you would recognize as a thief, that, oh, hey, take a left here. Oh, there it is. I assume other thieves would at least be able to find something. I don't know, maybe not.
And that's probably right, but it's not like I can just walk out of town and instantly spot them. I'll have to do some wandering and some looking around. Not every house is just going to have a secret bunch of flowers that are upside down or something.
Thieves Guild here.
Like I said, I can find them. It's just not going to be a walkout, instantly find them kind of thing.
Okay, but you're not going to start that until the scrying is done. So you wouldn't do a walkabout at the evening or something to go ahead and do that. I mean,
I can start walking around, but if I see anything, I don't want to actually make contact until they're back.
No, that's fine. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just saying at least something is being done while they're going, doing the scrying, and then Thongrim is off doing, his sales pitch. I mean, the way I see this happening is Siona and Eldon strap on to Dazzle and go do what they're doing. I would say, and y'all, this is y'all's thing. I'm just my mind's eye. Thongrim and his lieutenant of accounting. Now I guess maybe Velor, or maybe it's just Raziel, going through and doing the persuasion of trying to find a shop to partake in while Corin's going around just trying to identify things. Not necessarily making contact, but at least having a plan of attack based when the results of the scrying come back.
That sounds fair.
So don't split the party, except when you're going to split them in 3.
Exactly. Do any one of us know message?
I know message, but it's only 120 feet.
It doesn't help here.
Also, casting spells in town probably bad.
You're telling me a town of 50,000, the scrying and the blacksmith and the thieves guild area aren't all within 120 feet?
I mean, I know that I'm poor at making maps and everything, but I'm pretty sure in this circumstance that would not happen.
Fine.
Now, if you need a hallway that's 400 feet long and 10 feet wide, I'm your guy.
If there's a trap halfway down that hallway.
If you'd learn to detect traps, you'd at least know there was a trap somewhere in the hallway. Not where the trap's at or what it does, but you'd know there is a trap.
I know the stone is very pretty. I like looking.
With the exception of Corin, who's the only person that really belongs in a thieves guild, if the thieves are particularly territorial about non-thieves showing up, the other is
sure Raz
everyone else could. Yeah, I was gonna say everyone else could pair off, and have a reason to be there too. So we could do it either way, or we could. I mean, we've got 5 directions we could pursue too. So if any of one of us disappears, the next night we would know where to go look. So I don't know. Whichever way we want to go, I'm good.
I will speak for myself and say I could probably disguise myself and comprehend languages my way through the thieves guild, but I couldn't be very persuasive, I doubt, because I really don't speak their language. But with you, Thongrim, I probably could, and we could do the whole guildmaster personal accountant racketeering thing again. Or shopkeep, not guildmaster. We can try that angle again, me and you.
again, we have, I mean, Sion and Eldon could go and scry and go to the Umberlee Church if it's not particularly well populated, and use that as sort of a quieter space for scrying or something too. So
I like it.
Sounds good.
Alrighty. Well then, this being the case, let's. All right. So I think what we need to do, and we may be able to handle some of this offline. So we can say that between Raz and Thongrim, we'll figure out how we'll do the person. There's going to be a persuasion check in there somewhere. If we want to try to RP through it, or just come up with a series of checks and come up with an outcome and bring it back to the group, we can do that. Same with Corin. If he do a series of investigation checks and some things, maybe even, or if we want to treat it maybe like a skill challenge where we go through and say, okay, within, you got 6 tries before you get, 3 successes before 3 failures, and you find what you're looking for. We can do it that way too. But as far as the scrying, are you planning on doing one location and scrying? Or are you planning on doing multiple locations and scrying? Or start with one, see what happens, and then decide what's your game plan?
Who has the other key?
I have the strength one.
Yeah, I don't want to scry where the strength key is, though.
I'll take it with you.
So I would want to, I wouldn't want to be. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be an issue or not, but we could.
But I can let you hold on to it.
Yeah.
Did you say you do or you don't want to scry where the strength?
Well, if I'm using the key to scry, I would imagine I'll detect the key of power. Is that what it was? The key of power?
Did you detect the strength key last time you scried?
Well, no, because it was right next to me. I don't know if that was because it was right next to me. It didn't come up in conversation.
Well, to be safe, I will hand you the strength key, and you can just take it outside with you.
Okay. That just logistics.
It's not doing me a whole lot of good, so it's not like it's a big loss.
If we go outside, so the first thing would be to get outside of the city and just to a quiet area and just scry the key. Do focus in on the wisdom.
Where are y'all heading?
Which map?
I'm still looking at the city map of Mulmaster.
Oh, see, I have to keep I closed it, so I have to bring it back up because it's not the map that's actually on screen. Okay, so this if the gate, the southern gate, the one we came in at, is the South Road Keep, then I guess we would leave out the South Road Keep and go towards where we landed, apparently, and just start from there.
All right, so south of where we're landing. So if we're looking at this map, I'm going to say it's, I'm assuming you're somewhere right above the E of Mulmaster.
Do you want to make this the background so we can click on it and ping things?
I don't think I can.
Right.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, so just
hang on. I might be able to. Talk it out while I'm trying to figure this thing out.
So, what's that?
I was just going to ask, how do I go back to shared images that were previously open on Roll?
Oh, on the same page you find your character sheet. It's down at the bottom under handouts.
Oh, handouts. Thank you.
And a while back, they added a feature that the upper left corner of any things you open, including your character sheet, there's a button that will open it in a new window for you.
All right, so I think I've got the map here now.
That still looks like a 5. I know it's a 3, but man, it looks like a 5.
Gotta zoom out. Okay, so out here. I don't know where we landed out here because we didn't really get into that.
It would be somewhere a little south of the. I mean, I'd say you're probably somewhere down here, if not like somewhere down here.
Okay. So yeah, I guess going back to the beginning and just kind of doing that. Focus on the key.
Okay, so this first one I'll give you for free. You look around, there's no one in sight and everything. So you're sitting there on Dazzle, and you're focusing on the key of wisdom, and you're trying to depict and you're trying to envision the key of life and see if it can do that. So, Eldon, give me a Arcana check, please.
And I can guidance this too? Or am I using concentration on the key?
I'm going to say you're using concentration on the key.
Okay.
All right.
Well, the key manages to get me a decent roll, so.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, you didn't waste all your rolls earlier, so there you go.
Granted, the DC was probably 18, right? So.
You missed it just by 1. I'm sorry, man. You're going to be asleep for the next session. No, at this point you're having difficulty. I mean, it's not coalescing this specific room and saying, Bob is holding the key on the 7th floor of the Tower of the Wyvern, and it's moving west at 3 clips. You get the feel that it is north of you.
So, back towards
Mulmaster.
Okay.
So,
that's why I just walk pace from the whole city and figure out where it's at.
All right. So, first off, I mean, when did you guys decide to meet back up at the inn? Was it in the afternoon? Was it in the evening of the 3rd day? Give me an idea.
Probably the evening.
Okay, so we've had all this conversation, and when are you? So, at this point, when would you have gone out there? Would you have done it the evening or
out in the morning of the whatever day after?
Okay, all right.
Had our discussions and things like that.
Similar for myself.
Yeah.
I'd have to be there when the shops were open. I don't know if going to the thieves is best done in the day or the night.
I'm just investigating. I'm not talking.
Right. Okay, so we'll say that we're following through on this in the morning time. So you go out there, and we're going to say it took you, you're on the horse. 30 minutes to get out there, if that. I mean, I don't know how. You tell me what a reasonable time frame is to get out to where you were.
How many miles is it?
You would ask me that. I don't know.
What's that in kilometers?
If we go into 5, 2 kilometers. If we go to 5 miles on a horse, be less than an hour's ride, right? Well, that's a brisk ride too at 5 miles. Actually, how long does it take to go 6.2 miles, Ash?
About an hour.
Who's running?
The horse?
The horse naturally moves at 6.4 kilometers an hour.
What? A horse does 6.4 kilometers an hour? Is that what you just said?
Naturally, the 4-beat walk averages 6.4 kilometers an hour.
So could probably do 6 miles at a camp.
Yeah.
A trot or jog is 13 and 19 kilometers an hour, depending on the kind of horse.
Yeah. So we're talking about we could be 7 miles out of town in an hour pretty easily.
Yeah.
But how far, so how far out of town did we land? Is that fair to say we were 5-7 miles out of town?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll go with that. So we left in the morning and went an hour outside of town, and started there.
All right, so you've burnt an hour there. You come up and you've got the feeling that it is north of you. So we'll figure you've got what, another 9-10 hours, 9 hours to go here.
So, Siona, let's go. Is there outside of the so actually to the DM or out of game? What kind of like roadways and things like that are around the outside of this town? Like, is it pretty fair that we could go? Is there a road from near where we might be to that would go around the outside of the town to get to, say, the east side of the town?
I'm gonna say not necessarily. I mean, I think you're gonna be. I mean, there's going to be hills and everything, but the way that they've got the walls built up, I mean, looking at this particular map, we know that there's a gate and down on the south and a road clearly leading that way. There's also a let me pull up the map so I can ping on what I'm talking about. So we know there's a road there. We know there's a road here that goes out this direction. I will tell you that off in that direction it's going to take you closer over to the what's it called, towards Iron Fang Deep, and that's more towards the east, probably 4 or 5 hour, maybe a day's or so ride. The rest of it, I mean, just going by this map that we're looking at, I don't think there's a lot of clear-cut roads there. So, I mean, I'd say it's terrain. They obviously built the walls around there so they could keep an eye on things. So you may not want to be like, hey, we're casing the joint if you're like right up against the walls.
No, right, exactly. I guess my thought would be to possibly go around to the east, I mean, or the west, whichever side is. Well, actually, if we've been looking around town, we probably know about these entrances at this point, right? So we would want to go to the east of town and then come around and try and come in through the north gate. My main thing is to try and get some triangulation on where if I go over here and the key is still to the north, then we know we don't need to go. We need to get out of town. If I get over here and it's straight to the west, that'll give me a little more information, right?
Yes.
And so how long would it take to ride through this terrain? Does that sound fair, Siona, to try and ride through this terrain to try and get up?
Yeah. I think it's a good plan.
So what kind of travel issues might we have on a horse trying to go that direction without going back into town?
I'm sorry. You asked me a question. Ask me again.
So what kind of travel conditions would we have to go through to get, without going back into town, to get, kind of up to the east of town?
Okay, we'll say that you can make it there, but let's make it a What is that check? This is going to be a Siona check. Survival? Yeah. Would it be survival? Yes. Or nature?
So, survival check from me.
Yes.
I'll have to find my character sheet.
Didn't she have instant map recall or something with her character?
Woo!
Okay.
Yeah, I remember monuments.
And we won't be back.
Nope, I'm not coming back.
You took a wrong turn at Albuquerque, and you've ended up in Oldenburg for some reason.
In an hour, though.
Yeah, no. So we're going to say that it's taken you some time to get over there, and by the time that you get to that part of the area, seeing as that you have you've gotten lost along the way. So I mean,
Capable of getting lost.
I know. You get to this point, and is that where and that sounds about right, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So you get to that point as about it took you a long time to get there. The sun is starting to set on your journey here. So you go ahead and give me an Arcana check there.
How many miles was that?
Well, you kept on turning right. All right, so you get the feeling, as you're focusing in on this, that it is indeed west of you.
Yeah. Hey.
But it is also starting to, like I said, the sun is starting to dim. It's starting to go down. Sorry, it's not dimming. The apocalypse is nigh. Game over, folks. But yeah.
There's a giant shadow going across the sun. Is that what you just said?
Yes, there's wings are beating. There's you get the feeling that there's another dragon overhead, just kind of scooting on down towards the south. And as you're focusing on the key, you get the feeling that it's west of you.
So I'm getting the feeling the key is in
Mulmaster.
Well, that was a lot of work. And it's getting dark, and now we need to get to one of the gates so that we can get in and get some rest for the night.
Yes, I'd say they're. I don't know how they feel about the gates. I don't know if they close them at night, but I'd say you might have you might be analyzed a bit more the darker it gets.
Yeah. Fiona, I guess we better head back as quickly as we can. I hope we can survive.
All right.
Hey, roll a 1d4. You get guidance.
Your horse has dysentery.
Yes. And for that guidance, by the way, Mr. Gnome, Mr. Cleric, you. I need you to roll me and this is going to be a dealer's choice. You can either roll me a deception or a sleight of hand check.
We're out here.
You can still roll me a check.
Deception or what?
Or sleight of hand. Your pick.
What? This is like the mystery meat of DN decisions.
That's my better number. So
I'm very curious what's about to happen.
oh boy.
Okay, so you have managed to not be seen casting your guidance. So with 12, you're able to make it there. Right before it starts getting sundown. So as you're getting through, let's do because I just feel like being an asshole to you all right now. Roll me a performance check as you're rolling through the gates.
Okay, we work together, so we get advantage.
I expect no less.
So which one of us is performing? I think Siona's probably a better number.
What do you have?
A 1.
I have a 2. I mean,
That's awesome.
1s and 2s your roll?
so a 17.
I thought hers would be higher than that.
Oh, okay. So as y'all are coming back through the gates, you notice there are guards that are really kind of taking a notice of you and kind of looking at you, but you're able to perform very well, very calm and cool and collected as you're cantering and trotting through the gates like, I belong here, and the guards like, okay, and they look like they know where they're going, and they pay you no mind. You passed by 1, by the way. They rolled really good. So, you're making your way back to the Traveler's Cloak. I assume that's where you're heading.
Yeah, I think so. It's nighttime. I guess we haven't found an inn that's cheaper for the group is at. So
Well,
we're all,
you guys certainly didn't.
I guess we're planning to be back there, right? Everybody else?
Yeah, that's where I was going to head back to when I'm done.
Okay.
All right. Well, they've come back. Let's shift the camera to who wants to go next.
I'm wandering around. I guess I can go.
All right. So let's do yours, because I was trying to do this last session, and now I'm going to do it this way because I don't know what the hell we're doing. Let's do this as a skill challenge to see if you find them. You're going to find them regardless, but let's see how well you find them. So we'll do it first to 3 checks. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
Okay. So tell me, what are you planning on doing? And the thing is you can't use the same check twice.
I was planning on just wandering around through town, maybe browsing a few stores, just looking for any kind of markings or listening for, maybe let a few words drop that thieves might seem interested in that are harmless otherwise.
Okay. So that'd be what? Perception?
I'm guessing a perception one, maybe a deception for one, for just kind of speaking in thieves' cant while not being let it known that I'm speaking in thieves' cant.
Okay, so you pick. Perception? Okay, well, we're going to say that you clearly passed that one. That's clearly a success. So you were looking for... I lost track as you were talking.
Then maybe deception to, again, for the speaking and... Oh, I did not do well there.
No, you did not. As a matter of fact, you may have actually caught... somebody's like, this guy is... there's something off about him. You
So
drew
knowing,
a little...
knowing that even I know that I screwed that up all to hell, I'm going to look around for people who might have understood what I was trying to... And I'm going to see if I can discreetly follow them back... Oh, never mind. Now, to be fair, it's a 6 and a 10. Those aren't 1s.
I know. But they are still critical. Yeah.
So you used your stuff to find the thieves bar. You went up to the bouncer and said, "Hey man, I just like a cold drink." And he's like, "Bro, I know." And you're like, "All right, well, I'm just gonna go over here, totally not doing it." He's like, "Bro, I see you the whole time."
Don't look at me. I'm not doing anything.
I mean, they could still roll really poorly, and I could win.
This is a thieves bar. We literally specialize in deception and stealth.
Remember, that You can roll below a 10. It's possible.
The phrases "hello, good sir" and "you're a vagina head" are so similar in Thieves.
Both have words in them.
Okay, well, we're going to say that's a second failure there. And so, what else do you do?
Well, that's a good question because I have not done well yet.
No, you burnt your top 3 there. I thought for sure that was going to be it.
You have investigation and insight.
Well, I'm trying to debate between whether I try to, that's not even my top 3. I have other skills that are higher than two of those. I just don't know how to work those into.
Hey, the last time we did a performance check, went out and went remarkably well. There was some show dancing, some horse dancing. It was great.
Okay, I'm going to try to play off my drunken stumbling around despite the fact I'm sober, and maybe attempt to pick somebody's pocket in the hopes that I've drawn enough attention to myself that a thief would see it, but not a normal, since they would probably be looking at me after my thieves can't screw up.
I like it. Well, I'm going to say that's a clear success. You have you've gone through and you have drunkenly picked somebody's pocket, but in such a way that it did get noticed due to the deftness of it. Somebody from the guild would have noticed him going, okay, this guy may have some skills.
Okay, and then I'm going to.
No pressure, but this is the make or break it moment. Choose randomly well.
I'm just trying to work in how I'm going to do what I'm going to do in a way that makes sense. At this point, I'm just going to attempt to scale a fence or a wall and get out of sight, and maybe just look down and see if I can see anyone fall. So, climbing a wall or something.
You're cutting your losses and you're making a break for it.
Just making a break for it. They saw me. I think I did a good job, so I'm just going to get out of here, and maybe they'll look me up later.
Hopefully they'll follow you, right?
Ninja smoke.
Or at least they'll recognize me next time I'm out.
So yes, you definitely scale the wall and you're getting out of there. I mean, but you do it in such a way that it's like you're kind of. I would imagine you're kind of showing off your cat burglary skills. You want to do it well, and but you're trying to leave like a calling card and like, hey, I'm doing this more as an audition for you guys too. Yes. Okay. Well, I would say that was a success. I mean, based on you drew attention to yourself, and they're watching you, and they're clearly looking at you. And then you pick the guy's pocket. If the guy didn't notice it, they did because they saw behind the tricks there, and watched you as you scaled that wall. I'd say that they have successfully at least. They have noticed you and know that you are skilled in the ways of the guild. So I'd say that that's a success.
What do you get from the guy's pocket?
Well, let's find out, shall we? Let me find my random tables. This is gonna be good. I have a feeling. Roll me a D100, please. This is just so dumb it might work.
No. Had we been 11th level, that would have been, instead of a 6, that would have been an 18.
Nice. Roll me another D100 too. Okay, so as you were sneaking in there, you managed, and I think this is probably the thing that was really most impressive to them based on this pickpocketing thing. You managed to get two things out of this gentleman's satchel. The first one, and the one that was most impressive of them, is you managed to get a 2-pound sack of sugar out of his pack without the guy noticing. And you also managed to get this small wooden pin that, you know, the more that you fiddle with it, you notice that the ink doesn't seem to be drying. It almost appears to be just constantly, you know, the more you write, the more it inks.
Well, taking the sugar, I want to find some way to get out of the line of, you know, where no one can see. And I want to break open the sugar so it leaves a little trail, and I want to lead that to like a sewer or something. Make it look like I went down a sewer and didn't realize the sugar was trailing me.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me. I'm assuming you want to do this stealthily, in case you are being. So go ahead and roll me a stealth check, and 1 second. You were able to do that without being seen or being followed, to the best of your knowledge.
And then whatever's left in the sugar, I'll just mage hand it on top of a roof or something.
That's your cantrip, right?
You know what? I would have realized that. Never mind. Actually, no. I'll do it. I will risk it.
I like
I
it.
already said it.
All right.
So we're gonna sleight of hand.
Oh, you're good. You managed to do that quite well. One of these days, I'm going to get y'all.
Not me with that skill.
Not with that skill, no. So yes, so you have managed to at least make the Thieves Guild aware of your presence, and you know they may have gotten a good look at you to identify you should you come a knocking, and I think you had impressed them. But just in case somebody might have been following you, they would end up following this trail of sugar down into one of the storm drains into the sewers of Mulmaster. I'm sure there's something down there. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there's something. Well done, Corin. So that brings us over to the dynamic duo of Thangram and Raziel. What you guys doing?
One moment.
Yeah, how much?
Carrie.
We want to.
I was just doing the time
Yeah.
check. Sorry.
Yeah, it's...
Do we want to do it offline or pick up here? Whichever way.
Well, do we want to start like finding a place first before we start a conversation? Do we at least have a place to sort of plant our seed for what we're going to start with?
Don't talk about your wife like that.
I mean, we can. We'd probably be able to know. I mean, at least again, we have to get some more information, which might be something we can do offline. That how many blacksmiths there are, and which ones are most likely to be, candidates to. If any of them are looking to get bought out. If not, which ones are the most loyal to, the Church of Bane and stuff like that, and we can kind of go through that. I don't necessarily want to put you on the spot to pull all that out of your hat.
Yeah, I think we can probably take some of that offline via email between the three of us and come up with a game plan there to present back to the crew next Sunday.
Well, we can pick up next week with that, and then have our general chats with them and kind of go from there.
that said, I know Thorngrim knows the guild better than I do, but I will at least during my walkabout try to look for the just not the inner workings of. I wouldn't have any clue, but size-wise, I will look for the Ace Hardware equivalent of a blacksmith shop around town. Do I see?
Roll me a perception check. Or an investigation check. Which one do you pick? Something searchy. I'm gonna say you have seen several blacksmith shops. I mean, I don't know how many is too many blacksmith shops for a city of 50,000 people in this timeline. But
If we're walking around together and he starts kind of looking at the shops and asking questions, perhaps my knowledge of stuff would give him advantage on that check.
I would say yes, and that would say a 22 would clearly line up with that line of thinking. So yeah, you probably come up with a good candidate or two. I don't know if you want me to like say, hey, it's here and here. I mean, I can randomly pick some locations on the map if you want me to do that.
Yeah, knowing that I've got a good one or two places to start from, we can certainly take it offline.
Okay, that'll work.
Or RP next session, however you want to do it, man.
Let's do some email first to kind of come up with an idea, and we'll let that grow organically. Because I got to be honest with you, I mean, this is nothing like I had planned, and I'm good with that. Just we're going, and I like it.
Cool.
All right, so we'll say that I think this has all been good. Y'all are still laying up shop at the traveler's cloak. The other thing, and this is if y'all still want to do that, we'll you'll from Raziel's 2 or 3 day sojourn through the city and all the stuff he learned about. He did learn about that party that is coming up in, it's going to start in a couple of nights. If that's something that the party wants to join up to, the group wants to join into, just be thinking about that as a group. And then we'll continue with this grand plan that y'all have of scoping out the city. I think this is great, and we'll go from there. You're right; it is 9:30 Central, and with the time change, it's later than that for most of us. So, unless there's anything y'all want to do, I guess we can call the session here.
Okay. For the sake of the timeline, so we spent. So this would be morning of day 4. What I gather that we've been here.
Yeah, this would have been.
I think that's what he said. We spent 3 days to start this, and then your whole day you just took was day 4. My whole adventure will be my day 4, and then I don't know if Corn went out on the night of day 3 or the night of day 4.
It was the same time that they went out of town.
Okay.
So
we've been at the Traveler's Cloak Inn this whole time. So we have 3
bleeding
nights
out money, yeah,
bleeding out money
of money, and we're about to. So we're doing day 4, so we haven't spent day 4's money. So we're three nights of it's 12 gold piece a night.
Well, I mean, at this point, you would have probably gone ahead and burnt the 4th day because you would have had to have checked out completely.
Okay, right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So 4 days.
So yeah, 4 days. So you're looking at 48 gold each at this point. But that's okay. You guys have deserved some pampering after all the shit that y'all went through in the tomb and all that. Those nice plush feathery beds and the nice food.
Actually, it's not. The reason I'm bringing it up actually has to do with the offline stuff you and I too. So to making sure that what I did lined up and stuff. So it sounds good. It's all good.
Right on.
With the stuff that Raziel learned and relayed to the party, would it be safe to say I could forward this novella of information?
If you want to. I was just trying to give you something to work from.
Yeah, you did. I was not prepared.
Clearly.
You can take all that, cut, paste, rewrite as needed, and disseminate your own novella.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm trying to get this into the perspective of the players. I thought I did a good job.
No, I'm definitely not lack of information.
Don't roll a 20 next time.
Might be. I'll take an anti-feat next level.
Just drink a lot before you do your rolls, and that gives you a disadvantage.
I think his disadvantage on that particular roll, though, was a 19.